Welcome back to another edition of the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show, sponsored by Wholesale Supply Group. They are open to the public and a huge supporter of ours all season long. Once again, I'm Andy Morris along with Jacob Mason and your region championship Walker Valley head coach, Drew Akins. Coach, first of all, congratulations. What a night up in Athens last Friday it was.
Yeah, it was a really special night. It's kind of taken me the whole weekend to kind of get my head wrapped around the whole event, the whole evening, just how many people were able to be celebrated throughout the night. I had so many people text me. I think when I got done with our interview after the game, I think it was upwards to 68, 72 text messages. And everybody congratulated me, and my initial thought, and this is reality, my initial thought is not just coach speak, is I'm so happy for our kids. I'm so happy for my assistant coaches. Those two groups of people just work their tail off. I mean, our assistant coaches work harder than any assistant coach group that I've seen or been around. Our defensive staff is unbelievable. Our offensive staff this year has just worked so hard. And then our kids have fought through so much adversity in our time here, and to be able to give that to them was really special. So they did a great job playing their tail off throughout the night, and they earned it against a great opponent with McMinn County, and obviously did a lot of first throughout the night, but was so excited for our kids and so excited for our community and our school to gift them with a region championship.
So once again, the final last Friday night in Athens over the Cherokees, Walker Valley 17, Cherokees 14, and essentially that for sure locked in the region championship. Mm-hmm. Not only did you already have home field, but now you're bringing a 4 in from another region in Campbell County, which we're going to talk about in the second part of the show. But to kind of allude to something that you said in past shows, you talk about in the past, is this how we finish a game? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about that. I was texting Jacob during the game and was thinking this is that moment Drew was talking about, that this is where we can win the game or lose the game. And boy, did the Mustang defense step up for you guys.
Yeah, I've said it from the beginning. I feel like I've told you guys several times. This group's just different, and when it gets to moments of intensity throughout a game, this group just rises to the challenge. They went down to school. We led the whole game. We were up, 10-0 until 17 seconds left in the first half, and then gave up, offensively, really bogged down inside the 5. I wish we could have found a way to get a first down there, but weren't able to put our defense in a bad spot. And gave up that one right before halftime, and it was one of those things. I was like, man, we just dominated this entire first half. And we're only up by 3, and it just kind of felt like, man, we kind of missed our shot to really be out ahead at this point in the game. Got the ball right out of halftime, drove down, got no points. Got another stop, drove down again, got no points. And it felt like, man, we really have let this one slip. Even though we were still in the lead, it just felt like we had given away so many opportunities that eventually they were going to break through. And then when they did, you turn to the sideline as the head coach. You turn to the sideline and try to give them energy. And, man, I didn't have to. You talk about those moments in the game that this group just kind of steps up. I literally turned to Evan. He's like, Coach, it's good, man. We're going to go score. Our offensive line was like, hey, we got this. Not a problem, Coach. We're going to go score. There was zero doubt on our sideline that we were going to go get a touchdown there. And that's saying something. McMinn's defense is outstanding. That group and what they do and how they do it. I know they're simple, but they play what they play so well that I was thinking, man, it's going to be difficult to go down. Our kids didn't bat an eye, which was really cool. So we go down and take the lead, and it's one of those moments, like you said, I was telling Jacob before we went on air, you're in that moment that it's 4th and 1. How many times have we given up a 4th and 1 and allowed a drive to continue? And, man, I got it on film. We're going to watch it here in a minute. Our defense just bowed their backs and said, you're not getting a yard. and stoned him right at the line of scrimmage. And I literally, from that moment, I went over to the referee. I was like, they only have one timeout, right? I started doing simple math in my mind.
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah, like, okay, this minus 40, that minus 40. They call a timeout. I'm doing that math in my head, and I literally turned to the assistant coach, and I said, man, it's over. Like, we got it. So a really cool moment. And like you said, offense stepped up, went and got a touchdown. Defense stepped up and got a stop at the end, and it just was a great team win.
And I feel like we got to talk individuals. So, Jacob, I'm going to throw it to you. Roman Yulo, let's talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, Coach, just kind of talk about Roman Yulo and his performance on Friday night. I got to listen to him, on the radio, and I wasn't sure if he was coming back or not. So to hear his name being called, I was sitting on the edge of my seat all night. But just talk about his performance on Friday night.
Man, he's such a huge part of what we do offensively. We're always he's our single on the backside. So when we talk about single on the backside, they've got to either demand a double team or go win a one-on-one. That's the job of him. He either demands a double team. Sometimes this year he's been triple teamed, and that opens up the field side. Or they play the field side, and he's got to go win a one-on-ones. And he's just had great success of doing that throughout the year. We did that throughout this game. You saw moments, I showed you some moments throughout the game where he singled up, and we dumped the ball off to him. 6 catches, 70 yards, and then the touchdown at the end. But just putting him in situations where, hey, it's going to be you versus this guy. And he just demands so much attention that if you only put one guy on him, they were giving him hitch throughout the night. So we took that, and then late in the game, we put him singled up to the field. And when he has that much space to work with, made a great cut on the post cut. Their defense, their defender had played offense the entire night. He had gone both ways, and we had gassed him out. So when Roman broke across his face, it was hard for him to catch up. And Evan threw a great football right in Roman's chest. But for a sophomore in that moment to go finish that play and catch the touchdown that won us against, the first game against McMinn in our school history, won us a region championship. What a huge moment for that kid. And he's got a really special career ahead of him we're excited about. Obviously, we were so excited to have him back. I think we missed him. We missed him. I think against East Ham, he makes a huge impact. Against Pure Academy, he would have made a huge impact. So getting him back on Tuesday, we felt really good that he was going to be able to go. He was in a non-contact jersey for the whole week of practice. He'll be in a non-contact jersey for the rest of the season. But he's so important to what we do offensively, and it was awesome to see him go make that play.
Yeah, before we move over to the defense side of the ball, talk about your shot caller, man. I know we've talked about Evan all year long, but, to step up when the time comes, that's a big moment for that young man.
Listen, we told him throughout the entire week leading up to practice, hey, man, we're going to put the ball in your hand. And I've told y'all all year, man, we just gained so much confidence from his confidence. And we're going to put the ball in his hand and trust him to distribute the ball to these great receivers that we have. Hudson McCooch has had an unbelievable season. You talk about he leads us in receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns. He's just had a great year. You're talking about a kid with 600 yards receiving on the season, 6 touchdowns, upwards to 30 catches on the season. The most we've ever had by an outside receiver to the field. Brady Stack, he made a huge play early on. We're going to see that one too. I'm excited to show you that one. But he made a huge play to open up the game and kind of give us some momentum. Tanner, Malachi, Tate has done a great job at wide back, catching the ball in the backfield. But when you put the ball in Evan's hands, you just believe that he's going to be able to distribute to all these guys. And when you look at the stat sheet, he's able to get it all over the place. And you can't just say, hey, we're going to stop Roman, or we're going to stop Hudson, or we're going to stop Brady, because he's so good at just saying, okay, you're going to stop him, then I'm going to go find Spencer. He's done such a great job. And then what you didn't see the other night is he ran the ball. We put the ball in his hand. He rushed the ball for almost 80 yards and really had some huge first downs for us. So, leading up to the week, I kind of gave it away on other stations media outlets that I talk to. As we're going to put the ball in our best player's hands, and we trust that he's going to get us in the right situation, and he did that throughout the night.
Yeah. So we talked about the defense before we went on. We could talk about every single dude, and then we even past couple weeks you brought in Noah Jones. The defense as a whole, just the mentality of the Walker Valley defense, just kind of talk about them, because we could sit here for an hour and talk about every single person and what they've meant to this defense, but really it's been an 11, 12-man, 13-man crew. It's just been a great year for the Walker Valley defense.
Yeah, and it goes back to the beginning of the year, what was the question at the beginning of the year? Do y'all remember how
are we going to replace Eli?
How are we going to do this without 42? Right, that's the question.
By committee.
Yeah, and I told y'all, man, we're gonna moneyball this thing, and we're just gonna play 11 guys to the football on defense, and hopefully because we play 11 guys to the football, we'll have a lot of success. And man, have we? I mean, our defense. If you look at just defensive scores, we've given up 94 points on the year. That's 9.4 points per game. Unbelievable, and it really is just 11 dudes running to the football every snap, and it's not one guy. If you get to this part of the season, you're like, okay, this great of a defense, you're talking top 3 scoring defenses in the state at our level. Okay, so you get to this point, you're like, okay, top 3 defense, you got to have an all-state kid, right? Well, you look at it, and our stats are spread out so between 6 guys, we have 6 guys with 50 or more tackles. Our top leading tackler last year, I think Eli had something silly like 150 or something tackles. Our leading tackle this year is around 80 tackles, and that's a great season. But it's not what you've seen in the past, where one guy has this huge number. It's 11 guys, and all of them are making plays defensively, and I think that's why you've seen so much success out of our defense, and it's all led by great schemes every single week. We're not stuck in, hey, we run this defense. It's so funny. Coaches our media outlets will call, or we'll share stuff with coaches, and hey, what's y'all's base defense? I'm like, I don't really. It just depends on who we're playing, because
which way's the wind blowing?
Yeah, as I'll say, man, we're gonna scheme to stop the team we're playing, and that makes it really hard. I think Coach Cagle even mentioned early on we kind of confused them because we weren't in what we typically are in, and the way we were playing wasn't the way we typically played, and it took them a little bit to even find any rhythm at all, and that's all just schematics and our defensive staff and how hard they work. So it's been a really special year. It's just getting started, hopefully, and we got with the way that our defense is playing, we're going to have a chance pretty much every game, and we just got to make sure that our defense continues to play like that, and our offense continues to execute in those critical moments that we just talked about. If our offense continues to execute in those critical moments, and our defense plays at the level they're playing, we're going to have an opportunity to compete no matter who we're playing.
Absolutely. So before we hop into the film, all year long we've talked about goal number 1's win the region.
Yeah.
So just talk about some other regular season goals that this team has hit. I know we talked about defense. Did we end up hitting that goal with lowest?
Oh, by far.
By far?
Yeah,
okay.
By far. And, when you're talking about regular season, I think the previous record was 14.3 maybe. Obviously, we're at 9.4. If you add in the 2 special teams touchdowns that we've had, it's still 10.8. So, yeah, I think now, again, we're going to count playoffs in that.
Okay.
So, as a regular season defense, it's the best defense school history. But we still have games to play.
Job's not done.
Exactly, and we're gonna make sure that this continues through the playoffs, and we're gonna continue to preach, hey, you can't give up that big game where you lose your points per game, because everything relies. If you want to hit that goal, these playoff games are gonna count. But really excited for our defense and hitting the regular season goal of that. But you talk about other things that we've done throughout this regular season. First Walker Valley team in school history to have 8 regular season wins. We had the 8-win season in 2020, but that included the playoff game that we played. So 8 regular season wins, first time to ever beat McMinn at McMinn, the first region championship in 20 years. We did things that haven't been done here in a long time. We still have goals yet to be accomplished, though. There's goals that we made in January that we still want to go accomplish. But to do what we've done so far is really special, and we're really excited about that. One thing that we had talked about several times throughout my 4 or 5 years here, we want to make hosting playoff games normal, and
you're on the right path.
I was going to say 3 out of the last 4 years, we've hosted a first round playoff game, and that's really cool. It's really cool to say, hey, I don't know what else is going to happen, but it's become normal that first week of playoffs, there's going to be a game at Walker Valley High School, and that's something that we made a goal 5 years ago when we were coming into a 1-19 program, and we just said, hey, that's the goal. Our goal is to host playoff games every single year, and for us to do it 3 out of the last 4 years, really special, and speaks to the coaching staff that we have and how hard our players play. It's really shown up, and I'm really proud of that being a staple in what we do.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, now it's Jacob and my favorite part of the show, where you get to dive into some film breakdown for everybody. If you're listening on the radio, you can get on YouTube and watch this film breakdown on WCLE Mix 104.1's YouTube page. Something that I enjoy talking to people about when you do this each and every week. So let's let you take it, Coach.
So this first one I'm going to show you is the second play of the game. This was the moment so we plan this. It's really cool. We talk about it several times, and I've praised our defense for 5 years. This is a great opportunity to praise our offense, and I've done this more this year, that we've been able to scheme some things up where we felt really good going into a game with a scheme that we had. This scheme is something we've ran all year, but we did it off a little different protection than we're used to. So I'll flip to the drone shot here in a second. But the concept's pretty simple. We're going to run a post route here, and then Brady's going to run a crossing route there. We have a 12-yard in, and then Tanner's going to end up on this side of the quarterback, and he's going to bubble. So what you end up having is almost a flood concept where you have a high, a middle, and a low concept to the boundary. And what we're doing is we're trying to put this safety in conflict. So this safety right here is kind of our conflict player. So what you're going to see is Tanner bubble and Evan kind of give like a pitch fake and drop off of it. And then we're going to read this safety. And if he drives down, you're going to see the crosser come open. If he stays back, you're going to see Tanner come open. And then there's always a peek option, and that'll come into play later, where we can peek at that post route. So that's kind of the concept that we're looking at. This is the second play of the game, and you'll see the concept develop. So we're going to flip Tanner to the other side here. And when we flip Tanner to the other side, again, you'll see him bubble, and Evan's going to give like a shuffle pitch. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this guy to come down and make the tackle, essentially. And you'll see when he sees that, he triggers downhill. And just him getting downhill a yard or two opens up space for Brady behind him, right? So it looks really cool from this drone shot. This is the same concept. So again, just to get your eyes on the right people, we're going to bubble. Evan's going to fake pitch it and drop back. And we're going to read this guy. We're trying to get him to come downhill so we can hit this crosser behind him. Now, protection is really cool too, because it looks like we're running power, which we run a ton of power. We're going to jump set that, and Riley's going to come fit, and Tate's going to fit as well. So you see a good full slide protection, and the protection all night. I'm so proud of our offensive line and Tate Roundtree. Their protection was awesome all night. So when you see this, boom, everybody's covered. Look at this pocket that Evan has to be able to throw to. And with the backers coming downhill with that run fake, you see that space that we're trying to throw into. And man, who knew? Brady stacked with the speed, catches it on the run. And Coach Pope, right when he caught it, said, he's gone. And I was like, I don't know, man. And I just kept seeing Brady run. I was like, man, is he gone for real? And Pope was like, yeah, man, he's scoring. So really exciting play. What a great way to start the game. It gave us a lot of momentum. If you remember back to Cleveland, second play of the game, Roman Yulo scores, and we hold on. Very similar in this game where, first play of the game, or second play of the game, we go score, and then we win a dogfight throughout the game. What a huge moment for him, too. This is just a cool little defensive play. We're not going to spend a ton of time here, but one of their top plays was Buck Sweep. So when we talk about buck sweep, we've shown this with us a lot. You're going to get that, the pull kick, that, a pull wrap. This is that play that Evan has had so much success with, right? So we're going to run here, and they're trying to hit right there. Well, we do a great job of getting across this. And, man, watch the fit by our defense here. Boom, outside, bam. And you see the running back. Man, we had such great leverage here. But who I want you to watch here is Braxton Smith. Braxton's been corner for us all year. Great baseball kid. Just committed Friday night to go to Carson Newman to play baseball. And then he's playing safety for us. Watch him come downhill here. What a great play by him. Running downhill, bam. He's the one that made contact there on the hit. So really cool play for him.
Coach, I'm glad you pointed that out because that's something that they continue to try to do throughout the night, and continuously the Mustang defense, second, third level, as that play was getting stretched out, would come downhill and make a play.
Yeah, you talk about, player of the game on Friday, and again, that's twice in a row we've had a player game on Friday, and we came back and watched film, and the player of the game stayed the same. Tyron Forte all night, he had 13 tackles. He had 4 assists. And then he had the pass breakup that really could have been a pick, if not a pick 6. But great plays throughout the night by Ty. But, our defense has done such a great job of creating those stops, and really throughout the entire season, but especially against McMinn because they're so run heavy. We made it a focus to go stop run, and our defense held them to under 180 yards rushing for the night. What a great job by our defense to keep us in those situations where we were able to make plays. So we're so proud of our defense and what they did throughout the night.
So, Coach, you got some more you want to show us here?
Yeah, so let's go through this last drive because the last drive obviously was a massive moment in the game. So this is the probably 4th play of this drive. We go down, we hit a hitch to Roman, we hit a hitch to Hudson McCooch. So we're at the 50-yard line. This is kind of a big moment. We run that same little action that we talked about a second ago, and Evan does a great job escaping. This is what I'm talking about when I say put the ball in your best player's hand. This is a good play call. They do a great job of covering it, but if the ball's in your best player's hand, you're going to have an opportunity to go make a play and be able to do that. I think we're frozen on the screen, but Evan makes a great run. Gets us down inside the 30-yard line, and we're able to make put us in position where we're able to make a play there. So really excited for Evan and his ability to put us in right situations throughout the night. When you look at his stat line, Evan had 244 yards passing on 15 completions. So you talk, what a great night on that. 244 yards is one of his season highs throughout the evening. But then his rushing yards is what kind of made us go. He had 7 rushes for 80 yards, but big-time rushes like this one. This was a 24-yard gain on a play that really I felt like was going to be difficult to get anything from. When you watch the way they cover it, I mean, our deep balls are covered. Zeke was covered in the intermediate flat, and then Tanner's covered in the low flat. So trying to hit those flat routes, but him escaping and making a play there was so big.
Well, he makes you respect both parts of his games. That's
and if you don't, and it's hard to though, because if you cover the deep post by Brady, and you cover the deep post by Hudson, and you cover the out by Zeke, and you cover the bubble by Tanner,
opening the field
dude,
up.
how many people are now committed to that pass play, and then he's able to run backside for a 24-yard gain.
I've kept this to my chest being a Georgia fan. He reminds me of Stetson Bennett. The second year of Stetson Bennett, just playing with so much swagger. He's able to hurt you with his feet. He's able to hurt you with his arm. He's able to do a lot.
Yeah.
That was just something, like, as a Georgia fan, it's something that reminds me of. But, I mean, Stetson played with a lot of attitude. He played with a lot of fierce, and that's what Evan has just reminded me of this year.
Yeah, he's just he has a different competitive edge. But the term you said early is why this year's been so special. That second year just kind of changes things. And he's had a great second year. He understands exactly what I'm calling and why I'm calling it. He's willing to come say, hey, Coach, I really like this. We talk every single day. Hey, man, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you feel comfortable with? What are you most comfortable with? And those are the things. That's how we build the game plan. As we're putting him in the best situation where he's most comfortable, and then he just goes and makes plays. It's really cool to see. So, hey, Ethan, do you think we have one more? It's dead. Okay. The last clip was the touchdown. The same exact play that we showed early. Instead, we just hit Roman over the top for the touchdown. So it's a really cool play and a really great end to the game. And then our defensive stop on fourth, which was I can't say enough words on how massive that was. So really cool.
A lot of energy in that place in Athens Friday night, and I know from our vantage point, like you said, kind of doing the math, making sure that the Nils were going to get the job done as soon as we realized it. We were fired up as well.
Yeah.
So it was definitely one to remember, and congratulations once again, Coach, on the region championship. But the job's not done yet, as we said. We've got more coming up, hopefully over the next few weeks. But we're going to take it 1 week at a time. So when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to go over the first round playoff matchup against Campbell County. Welcome back to the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show, supplied all season long by Wholesale Supply Group. They are open to the public. Once again, I'm Andy Morris with Jacob Mason. Nice to have you back with us, Jacob. And then, of course, Region Championship head coach, Drew Akins. Coach, I'm going to keep saying that until the next step is accomplished.
And we'll say something new hopefully later on.
So, Coach, kind of fill the listeners and viewers in on what to expect. Let's talk a little schematically from what I understand, an athletic Campbell County team.
Yeah, they're going to be different than anything we've seen this year, without a doubt. They have a quarterback who was All-State last year. He's definitely going to be one of the guys that they're putting up for Mr. Football, trying to get him as a semifinalist. Really, really talented kid. He's thrown for, I would say, 5,000 to 7,000 yards in his career. Just a kid that's been in the game. It's similar to Evan. We talk about him being a second-year quarterback. Well, this kid's the same way. He's thrown for a lot of yards. They put the ball in his hand a lot. You're going to see 85% of their formations are going to be one back or no back. So you're going to see a lot of empty sets.
Almost like an air raid type.
A lot of trips, a lot of spread. You don't get a whole lot of Y back, so you're not going to see that heavy, lean on you run game that we've seen this year. It's going to be a much different game. So we're going to be really relying on a few things. We're going to rely on our secondary. They've got to hold up. So you're going to see guys like Josiah, which Josiah's had a great year. Josiah Shepard, our corner. But you don't see him very much because we haven't had teams throw against us very much. I mean, McMahon County threw 3 passes the other night. You're going to see Braxton Smith in coverage instead of coming down and making tackles. You're going to see Tyron Forte in coverage, Mason Alexander in coverage. Our nickels are going to have to be much more involved in the pass game than they have been in the past few weeks. So you're going to see Nolan Chabelle and Noah Jones and Zeke Garrison, Noah Green, those guys be more in coverage than they've been in the past. And then we're going to have to rely on a good pass rush and stopping the run with 5 guys in the box. That's going to be a huge part, whether we're successful or not. You're talking about a team that's scoring 30 to 31 points per game. So you're talking about a high-powered offense. Quarterback that distributes the ball really well. They have a kid, number 6, who's their kind of do-everything kid. They move him around the field. He'll get handoffs. He'll catch passes. So we're going to have to make sure we know where he is and what they can do based on where he is. But if you can't stop the run with 5 in the box, and you got to add that extra hat to the box to stop run, then it opens up the pass for him. So it's going to be very, very essential that Connor Phillips and Jack Shantz and Troy Duskevich and Ashton Owens and that group of guys, Dylan Sharp, that group of guys is able to hold up front against our offensive line. Jacob and Leandre will be in the middle. And we are counting on them to be able to play, C-gap to C-gap and stop their run game.
Have that nose for the football.
Yeah. And then if we can stop them with 5 in the box, running the ball, then we should have a lot of success in the secondary because now you can put 3/2 on both sides and you feel pretty comfortable. We've got to make sure that we're ready for that kind of game because it's so different than what we've done. We haven't played that game all year. We've played Ray County, who's tight end fullback. East Hamilton was tight end fullback. Pure Academy was 2 tight ends. McMinn was fullback and 2 backs. Like, we just haven't played the game where they spread it out 4 wide, 5 wide, and you got to go cover. So it's going to be a great night to test our defense, put them in a situation that they haven't been in, and see if we can hold up. You know, Coach Harvey said all weekend, hey, this is just one of those games where, you know, they can just all it takes is one throw and they're scoring, or you know they catch a screen and you don't cover the screen and they gain 40 yards on it. So we've got to make sure that we're disciplined, that we stop run with 5 in the box, and that we're able to play great coverage on the back end, which is something we haven't really been tested on throughout this season.
Well, Coach, kind of talk about the defense guy. Talk about their defense. What's their identity? What do they like to do?
So their defense is attacking. They're going to try to attack you to put you in uncomfortable situations, and they're hoping, based on that uncomfortable situation, that you make a poor decision with the football. Something that we've done a great job of throughout this year is protect the football. You know, Evan has 2 interceptions. Both of them are tip passes. It's not that he's thrown the ball into the DB's hands. It's been tipped, and because of the tip, it's led to an interception. But we've done a great job this year of protecting the football. They're going to try to make you uncomfortable. They're going to blitz you. They like bringing 2 from the same side, which makes it really difficult to protect. So that's something we're going to have to work throughout this week. But I really believe they're one of those defense that, hey, we're gonna pressure you, and we're gonna try to make you uncomfortable. And if you beat the blitz, cool. We'll take the ball back and we'll try to go score. Because we're scoring 30 points a game anyway. So we're not worried about if you score. We're just gonna match it. We're gonna try to attack and get 1 or 2 stops. And if we get 1 or 2 stops, our scoring will win the ball game. So we've got to make sure that we protect the football, that we follow our rules up front, because when a team does that, they're not going to stay where they're lined up. They're going to move. So based on that, you got to follow rules. And if you follow rules, typically it takes care of itself. If we try to do too much, which happens sometimes, you get your eyes going. They bring a pressure and you jump out to the pressure, but your responsibility is now unblocked. So we've got to have great discipline when it comes to that. We've got to be able to run the football well. I think we're going to put the ball in Tanner's hands and let him kind of eat this week and see if we can get him that game that we've all know he can do. But haven't really been in a situation where that's been the game plan. This week, I think that's going to be a much larger part of the game plan is, hey, Tanner, go get us some yards here. Go win us a ball game, especially how much we put on Evan the other night. We got to take a little off Evan and allow him to recover. And I think Tanner and Malachi running the ball is a great way to do that.
Yeah, Coach. So if you could kind of fill everybody in, the fans, the students, kind of what's going on Friday night as far as kickoff time and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so let's talk about a couple things because there's once we get on the playoffs, obviously things get a little different. So first and foremost, when it comes to tickets, season passes and reserve seats, those will not get you in the ball game. But we are going to honor reserve seats. So the middle section, if you've had a reserve seat all year, we're going to continue to reserve those seats for season, the reserve seat holders. Once the game is kicked off, if nobody's in those seats, we're going to allow them to open up a little bit. About midway through the first quarter, midway through the first half, we'll allow people to start moving around. But we're going to honor the reserved seats, but you still have to go buy a ticket. If you want to go look on our social media, by the time this airs, the link will be posted. You can go buy the ticket online, and that's a great way to do that. That way you can just show your phone at the gate. The ticket's already purchased, and it's all done. Another way to do it is you can do the normal, go to Gobbles and buy. You can go to Monogram Market and buy. You can go to Town Squire and buy. Those are the 3. And you can buy a ticket there, and you can have a hard paper copy of the ticket. But understand those things that have got you in throughout the season will no longer get you in, but we will honor the reserve seat. Another thing that I want everybody to know is we're going to try to have a navy, a deep blue out So we're trying to make our entire home side that navy blue and really show some unity in our fan side. And we're going to do a couple things with our students. First 100 students to buy a ticket, we're going to give them a free Navy t-shirt that they can wear at the game. Talks about region championship t-shirt. We're really excited about really making everything that deep blue Navy and really showing a lot of unity on our fan side. 7 o'clock kickoff, which has been all year. This is kind of why we did it. You know, when we get to playoff time, we want to be used to this kickoff time. So 6 o'clock playoff time, there's going to be some pregame festivities. We're going to honor some cross-country kids. We're going to allow our cheerleaders to do a dance routine in that normal presentation time. So get there early. 6:30 is typically when those presentations start. So come support all the kids at Walker Valley with cross country and our cheer team, and then hang out for a kickoff at 7 o'clock against a great opponent with Campbell County.
Coach, once again, we appreciate you joining us today. We're excited for playoff football. I know that you guys and the players and coaching staff, you guys have been putting the time in to get to this point. You've accomplished the big goals we've talked about all year, and I truly believe it's just getting started, and Jacob and I are excited to call the game Friday night on Sports 99.1. You can tune in also on the Mix 104.1 app and catch us. We'll start pregame. Playoff time, we might go on a little bit earlier, but safe bet around 6:30 with the 7 o'clock kickoff. You'll be able to listen to the panel before that as well. So a lot of good stuff leading up to kickoff on Sports 99.1 and the Mix 104.1 app. So with that, Coach, once again, thank you for joining us, and we're excited for playoff football. Go Mustangs!